But anyway, whatever they did, they're gone now, and that's it. So, now you see that bowling alley. You know, I used to do the lanes for my dad. I walked those lanes. I drug those lanes every day after school. I came down there and I rolled the marble across that bowling alley, all over 12 lanes. My dad would challenge me every day to knock down all the pins. You know, I had Earl Anthony give me a bowling lesson, and then my dad wasn't going to let it in, and he had challenged me to knock down all the pins across the lanes every day after school. And I was to come home after school every day and drag those lanes and cross-buff them, you know, across, wipe out the shot, pull a shot, you know, all this here. My dad taught me how to layer everything, do things. And you know what he was doing? He was training me to do things, is what my dad was doing, in a very precarious way, a very, you know, subtle way of doing things. And, you know, my dad would have me watching him. He would have me report to him. He'd send me uptown for a 5-gallon gallon of gas, you know, just 2 gallons in it. He needs 2 gallons. But go ahead and walk the long way home. I'm going to give you $5 for walking the thing. $5? Jesus, I'll walk it for $5. I mean, when I went to work down at the park, you know, after Terry Shortridge was murdered, I got 90 cents an hour, you know, so walking that can of gas down to the bowling alley and going a couple blocks down and, you know, by the hospital and stuff, you know, I mean, what? Sure, I'd go ahead. I'm game for it. I'm not thinking of nothing, you know. But that's the kind of things that Dad would do. They were playing in this here bowling alley. They were playing this Big Bad John, and they were using me to threaten people. And if anybody told me, if it got back to me what was going on and what was this deal about this bowling alley and the money and stuff, and if I came back and told my dad one thing, people would probably end up dead, or they would know who leaked, and these people would die. And there's people that was getting killed left and right, like Bill Walker Bagley. Now, Bill Walker Bagley was the first person that kicked someone's ass in this around this bowling alley, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. Was this woman named Lynn Smith, this person named Bernard Patton, had sex with her, and she was a virgin, and he flipped her a 50-cent piece, which has John F. Kennedy on it, by the way. Hint, hint, clue, clue. You know, what's happening here? They're telling me something, for number one. And Bill Bagley comes in. He tells me what happened. He asks me, where's Bernard at? And I say, well, he's right over there. And he says, turn on the music. I turn off the music, turned it up loud. And, oh boy, Bernie Patton ended up out that fucking door of that bowling alley. I turned on Philadelphia Freedom, you know, Elton John, Philadelphia Freedom, and that guy got ripped right out of that bowling alley. And my dad's shouting up there, what's going on? What's going on? You know, my dad has me in the front of the bowling alley, watching the front of the bowling alley, because I'm the cushion between the people that come in that bowling alley and my dad. My dad's hiding behind me at that bowling alley, is what he's doing in that bowling alley. They were hiding behind me for all these years that my whole family has. If it gets back to John, and the cops have been in on it too, and if a person doesn't understand what was happening, I was held inside this bowling alley in front of my dad, inside the doors where you enter that bowling alley. Right there where you came in, there was a red carpet coming right through that door. I was held in front of my dad. A cop comes through the door and he says, hey, have you ever seen a pair of these before? And I'm looking at him like, there's a cop right here, Dad, like this, and I'm looking over at him. I already had Terry Shortridge murdered in front of me. And I haven't even gone to court over this, what's happened, my brother Jim's going up for murder charges on this Terry Shortridge, or whatever the charges is. The court, we don't know what's going on. And by the way, I'm in post-traumatic stress disorder at this very time that this cop does this. He comes through the door. Have you ever seen a pair of these before? He shows me a pair of handcuffs. I look over at my dad, and he says, "Turn around, I'll show you." And I turn around, you know, my dad just goes like, "Go ahead and turn around." And this click, these goddamn cuffs come on me. He squeezed them on so goddamn tight I could fucking feel it still. And then he picks me up by my hands over and over repeatedly in front of my dad. And I'm looking into the bowling alley. I can see those goddamn bowling lanes and stuff as I'm fucking head my head fucking to the left and right. I'm fucking in pain in front of my dad. And he's saying, if you ever get in trouble, you're going to goddamn, you know, threatening me and my dad. Cop fucking takes those cops off, and he leaves. He just leaves. He doesn't even say nothing else. You know, we're just left there. Like, what the fuck just goddamn happened? And my dad says, we can't say nothing. They can blow this place off them. They think that, you know, they think that they can blow Portland and Seattle off the map. And this here's a fallout shelter. We can't say nothing. You know, so this is the line that my dad's telling me. I know it's a nuclear shelter, and we can't say nothing, and I'm silencing, and I've got all the stuff, and, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, and this isn't helping in the situation at all. So I want everybody to goddamn know the way I feel about that Morton bowling alley now is I want it destroyed. I want that bowling alley to hit the goddamn ground, and I want a fucking goddamn statue there like they did down there at that Brown's paper mill in Antioch, California, and the paper mill up there in Port Angeles, Washington, and that goddamn fucking Brown Cemetery right there next to that fucking Morton bowling alley that's named after Millhouse Smokehouse now. The third owner named it Millhouse Smokehouse. If you tell anybody, we'll cut you in half. They put a saw in the front of that bowling alley, and that's after President Millhouse Nixon. And that's exactly who that is after, Millhouse Nixon. And also, they got a museum uptown in Morton, Washington. You know, here another thing. After that cop did that to me, and we ended up going to court, and that my brother Jim got off with second-degree manslaughter. We ended up having, they took me to the rabbi, fed me spaghetti, red spaghetti, and goddamn it, when I see fucking red spaghetti, it fucking angers me very terribly. Very terribly. So anytime I see red spaghetti, and if somebody wants to goddamn come over for dinner, I'll feed them red spaghetti. I'll fucking, you want to be rolled up in a carpet? I was rolled up in a carpet in that house in Morton, Washington, prior to all this here. I was tied up and fucking thrown over in a chair, and they was playing big band music to me. Big band music to me. And I'll remember that guy's name here in a minute. And they were playing Helen Reddy when the lights went out in Georgia. Now you got the Georgia problem right there with this your goddamn Republican Party. And this is just the goddamn plan from fucking A to Z. George Farhart, his family was supposedly put up the money for that bowling alley. The money was ripped off. Those son of a bitches. That George Farhart was in my class, in my classroom. Terry Shortridge was murdered. His family, and he was behind it. And he fucking stood up in front of me, jumped up and down in front of me. That Lebanon, Hezbollah, son of a bitch, in Morton, Washington, George Farhart, stood there and said, now your dad's our slave, jumping up and down in front of me. Down there by the goddamn cemetery, and believe me, I already had a person murdered in front of me, and he did this after the court case was dismissed. in Lewis County Court. And then I was also stuck with Jeremy Randolph, the prosecuting attorney that prosecuted my brother. For a few years they tacked me with that attorney later on to see if I'd fucking goddamn say anything and come to him with the goddamn truth about what they're doing to me. Why would they have done that? Because they would have fucking killed people if I wouldn't have fucking done it, and they fucking probably felt that I was silenced. I didn't want to remember something so heinous and terrible. And you know why? Well, George Farhart right there, when they did that, I got cut this off. It may not even upload.